much for joining us this morning. Civic Exchange is very excited to announce this brand new research report on managing vibrant streets. The findings of this report are key to making patronization a priority in the city. This is in alignment with government policy as expressed by in Carrie Lam's policy address in October 2017, and also the Hong Kong 2030 Plus blueprint by the Development Bureau. And also recently the budget announcement has set aside 8 billion Hong Kong dollars for proposals from 18 districts to improve the pedestrian links. The report, I think we have a copy here, as this report, 120 pages long, provide a roadmap for the government to overcome our present challenges and also achieve improvement in our streets in Hong Kong. As many of you here will know, Civic Exchange is a strong advocate for walkability as a key component for making Hong Kong a livable city. We have actually produced a series of studies under our walkability theme. In fact, I think Simon is here, who is our former director and initiator of this concept for our research. Our research actually included, as I put in here, an array of studies. Our first walkability project in 2012. We also have research on public open space, the walk scorecard, and our well-being index. And we now have added to this array of studies how streets are managed in Hong Kong. And actually in the pipeline, we have another project on public open space and the quality of it. And also, I think in 2016, we staged a very successful Walk 21 conference here. We are actually very encouraged by the impact all these studies and activities have produced. And it is great that, the Hong Kong government's Transport Department now has its own dedicated walkability task force. Of course, if more people were to decide to walk rather than to drive, we would have reduced the pollution and congestion on our roads, and that would lead to cleaner air and also better well-being for our city. Now, streets are a main apparatus for walking. But to us, we do not perceive streets as merely a physical infrastructure for us to get us to from A to B. More importantly, how our streets is managed or designed are the critical factors to ensure that walking is an enjoyable, safe, interesting, and comfortable experience. And in turn, that would actually contribute to the incentive or incentives for people to choose whether to walk or to drive. Now, this research report actually documents most of the major activities that may be happening at any point in time in our street, whether they are contributing to the vibrancy or creating the conflicts or a nuisance, and how these diverse activities are managed, and by which government authority or under which legal legislation or regulations, and where are the gaps and also the silos. Through this in-depth, evidence-based, independent research, the report actually provided not less than 20 policy recommendations to improve our streets. So for today's program, we are very glad to have our two authors of the report, Corinne Lai and Antonio De Rosa, to give us a briefing on their research findings and recommendations. This will be followed by a panel discussion by three walkability experts, Jennifer Fischer, Chris Law, and Ada Wong. This will be moderated by Michelle Weldon, our program director. I'll leave Michelle to introduce her panel later on. Our chairman, Evan Ao-Yeung, will wrap up today by giving his closing analysis and remarks. There are two opportunities for Q&As straight after the author's presentation and also after the panel discussion. So before I pass the floor to Corinne and Antonio, I'd just like to say thank you profusely to them for their dedication in producing this excellent, significant piece of work for the betterment of Hong Kong. I am quite sure that their work would help to push the envelope further. I would also like to thank all the people, many of them, who contributed their time and effort in making this report impactful. There are too many to mention here today, but you'll find all their names in the preface and the acknowledgement page of the report. I would also like to say a special thank you to Wing Foundation and also Dr. Anthony Ng and Yan Yan Ip, I think she's here, for their staunch support for civic exchange work on urban issues, and particularly for their funding support for this project. And a big thank you to our chairman, Evan Ao-Yeung, and GLG for giving us this wonderful venue for hosting our event. Of course, to our speakers, and you and the press in the audience, we are very grateful for you to be taking part in our sharing today. And last but not least, I'd like to say a heartfelt thanks to our devoted colleagues at Civic Exchange for their tireless efforts in staging this event. So thank you, Michelle, Joyce, Cosmo, Iris, John, Jonathan, Vicky, and Cynthia. Thank you very much. Now, without further ado, I would now introduce our two first speakers. First, Corinne Lai. Corinne is a urban planning researcher and authors to most of Civic Exchange research work, including most of the ones under the walkability theme I mentioned earlier. And also, I would invite Antonio De Rosa, who is a barrister at law and who's provided an excellent research input into this report on a whole range of legislation and regulation that govern our streets today. So I would now like to invite the two of them and give their remarks. Thank you.